The philosophy of the company, which was established by my grandfather, is that the customer must be at the centre of them. We've always tried to give our best service to our customers over the years, and that has set us fair, I think, from the early days down to now.
That's the most important thing, is to look after them. At the end of the day, the customers are the people that keep us business going and have done for the last 80 years.
The founder of the company was my grandfather, who founded it in 1934 and continued through the war into areas of maintenance on cars and looking after the customers, which has always been very, very important for us. I'm the third generation, and my son is the fourth generation. We gradually grew the business and with franchises, and by the 60s, and at one stage we had franchises for cars like Jaguars and Rovers and Land Rovers.
Great-grandfather, Percy, and my grandfather, Geoffrey. They bought properties inside Cambridge, different garages and different places that they bought to develop into workshops and businesses. And they sort of started with cars and bikes, I think, mostly, back in those days. Push bikes as well as motorbikes. And they were mostly old buildings that were already in Cambridge. So they had an old cinema, I think was one that they had, and then they moved to a Criswell's, which was a garage as well, which they had. And then in the sort of 60s, my grandfather decided that they needed a bigger, more purpose-built premises. Cheston Road, which was a landmark of Cambridge in those days, a place that people sort of remember very well. The unusual thing about it was there was a ramp that used to take the cars up to the roof. I think many people I talked to about the old days of the garage, they always remember that sort of point of the ramp and how the cars used to go on the roof, because I think in those days that was quite an engineering feat, and it was a bit different and a bit novel. My father joined the business in the sort of early 70s, and he started his grounding at Chesterton Road with my grandfather, where he learnt the trade. My father started right at the bottom with sweeping the floors and looking after the parts department. And as he grew, my grandfather decided that it was a good idea to set him up on his own so that he could experience what it was like to run his own business.
Went to Newmarket, where I opened a new garage there, and as I say, we went after that, and then I went to Barton and opened there, where we have a variety of things happening.
So this building was built in '84, and it was built and designed by my father to maximise the site, to get as much space as we could into the property, and also to bring different elements that we hadn't done before. We'd always had a workshop and sales, but we never had a petrol station, which we have now. We didn't have rental property either, which we have now. So that was changes, and it was also how my father took the business on after what his father had set up. And so yeah, that's how we ended up where we are now in this site.
A chap called Ken Walis, who discovered the idea of an Autogyro and was one of the first people to manufacture them, which we did at our home house to begin with. Ken would come down from Norfolk where he lived, and he started manufacturing these aircraft, and we were able to fly out of our own property here, which was useful for us, and it was good fun. The James Bond movie was very good. It helped our own business too, because we used to take the autogyros down to our garage and put them in the showroom there for a while, and it brought people to our business. We all had a good fun with that. I flew in it myself, or them, 2 or 3 of them times, and the autogyro we've been known very well around the world.
One day he turned up with a Jensen Interceptor, and I fell for it. It grew on me. I didn't think I was going to have such a passion for older cars, but they started to grow on me. And also, I think the way the market's gone with the modern cars becoming so complicated to look after and so similar in their products. I think the classic cars then is something that we sort of got more and more passionate about. And then I had to start thinking what we were going to do with the cars. I mean, he then brought a Daimler and a Bentley Flying Spur, and those cars were definitely orientated towards weddings. So we decided that we'd have a go at weddings, and we brought the name Cambridge Wedding Cars and that brand, and it's just gone strength from strength, and we've ended up now with 25 cars. But back to your question, in the fact with the cars, yeah, we buy them, one, because of connections in the past. We've got Rolls-Royce and we used to be Rolls-Royce dealers. We've got a Land Rover and we used to be Land Rover dealers. But secondly, I think we buy the E-Types and the other cars that we've brought because the pure elegance and also the desirability of them. We don't own the classic cars, we're custodians of the cars, so we have them for a period of time, and during that period of time we look after them and maintain them, and then they go to a new home. And you can see that when you buy an old E-Type. It's from the 60s, and you can see the history that's involved when you take it to bits and you find all the different repairs and things that have been done to it over the years. So I think, you know, that's how we've ended up with the cars. It's just purely been offered something or seen something that we like, and then we've tried to find a purpose and a use for it, because rather than the other way around of having a purpose, which is what you tend to do with a modern car.
I've enjoyed buying those motor cars, where I have done from various auctions and other places, but particularly the classic cars, and like the old Bentleys and these sort of cars we have now for the weddings. Nice cars, good cars, and we enjoy them as much, I hope, as our customers do. Over the years, of course, the business has changed, and it's gone through quite a few changes, really. And the latest changes, I suppose, now are that or did come in rather when we started selling used cars at Barton, and we hope to be trading there now for many years and so on. My son Elliot is in the business and is now driving it, and I'm just helping him on the use, from nowadays, not actually doing it myself too much.
When I joined my father, I think we had 3 mechanics. We now have 10 mechanics. We have a transport business with 3 drivers where we move cars. We've got the wedding car business where we have 25 wedding cars, and we now have a company called Wallis Rentals where we rent car, vans, trucks, 4x4s, and also do classic car hire, which obviously ties in well with the wedding cars, and also prestige hire as well. So we cover a lot of bases, and we have a lot going on this little site. A small 2-acre site in Barton, and we managed to squeeze a lot of small businesses onto it. But that's what I've found has worked for us. The reason we've done it is because the market has changed over the years and it's become more competitive, and you've got to think on your feet, and you've got to be diverse, and you've got to think of new opportunities and new ways that you can keep your customers happy, and also bring them something that they want and desire, and also something that we're all passionate about within the business. And I think that is important, that all the guys that we have enjoy what they do, and I think that shows in the quality of the service that we provide to people.